You're listening to Follow Tonings, which is proudly brought to you this season in association with Apsiz Services Ltd.
With our blend of experienced procurement and commercial professionals and an exciting range of products and technologies, we can help assist your business in driving savings, efficiencies, and business improvements within your organization, regardless of its size and the sector you operate in. With expertise within strategic advice, transformational change management, delivery of commercial intelligence, and the implementation and optimization of e-commerce solutions, we can provide a range of services and solutions to support your business in increasing its profit and improving its effectiveness.
Our results speak for themselves. To find out more about Apsiz or to talk to us to see how we can help with your business, please visit www.apsiz.co.uk or email us at inquiries@apsiz.co.uk.
This is Roberto Martinez, and you're listening to Follow Tonian's podcast. Enjoy.
Follow Tonians, hosted by Eric Howell and Ped McPartland.
All right, everybody, welcome to episode 169 of the Follow Tonians, brought to you by Apsiz Services Ltd. Eric here in Overland Park, Kansas, Ped in Old Swan, Liverpool. It's a new season, new sponsor, and preseason sucks.
Cool. I am Groot.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm just all I'm gonna say for like literally the whole season is I am Groot. See how far I get with that.
Yeah, probably not very far because it's not all that funny.
You don't know. You've got no imagination. You don't know.
None.
None.
Even less than that, I think.
Your idea of a good time is living in Kansas. There, I said it.
Yeah, it is.
Yay season, Eric. Yay season. That's
Yay
all
season, yeah.
Yay season.
Yeah.
The excitement is literally bursting out of me this new season.
Bursting, huh? It's fantastic. I really cannot wait until there's something to actually watch because the preseason has been, to use one of your words, dross.
It's not one of my words, but you can use that as a word if you want. It's been interesting, hasn't it? It's been. Listen. The people will always say preseason is nonsense, and it's friendlies, and it's practice games, and it's to get fit. But if you were to take preseason friendly, you'd be really worried about now because it hasn't been great. Really, has it? From results have been poor, but it's not about results. It's about getting fit and getting some performances and some get players used to each other. Okay, fitness. The players don't look fit,
right? Or comfortable, or smooth.
Performance-wise, there hasn't been any. So if you were to look at it from that point of view, you'd be worried. But we're not looking at it from that point of view, luckily enough. But yeah, it's been weird, hasn't it? It's been we spoke about this at the end of last season. We spoke about it on a couple of previous podcasts we've done this summer, and it just seems to be very disorganized in an organized fashion. I mean, obviously, we're not privy to what goes on behind closed doors and in training sessions and things like that. And I'm sure Roberto Martinez is quite happy with where his players are. He seems to be talking that way. There was a hint of frustration, I think, after the last friendly. There did seem to be a little hint of frustration that results had got away from the team, and in such a manner of, I think, poor goals as well. The conceding 3 against Paderborn, conceding 3 against
Celta Vigo.
Yep. A couple against Tranmere. From that point of view, I think he'll be really disappointed because even though the defence has been, a mixed bag of players and
Hibbert.
Yeah, and the goalkeepers and Tim Howard coming back, I don't know, so something hasn't clicked, and I just really hope that it does click once Saturday comes, because it's been strange. It's been a strange pre-season. I don't know what you think about it, but the fact that games were organised so late and there's been obviously no tour, and there doesn't seem to have been sort of any, I don't know, any sort of
Well, we went to
cohesion
Thailand. Yeah.
for
And,
one game
yeah. And,
against the team we're playing in the opening game of the Premier League season.
right. That was arranged prior to the schedule coming out, and it was like, I don't know if we really want to do this, but yeah, it's just the World Cup summer. For some reason, we let it dictate what we were doing, and I don't know. Hopefully, everything works out. I'm nervous. I haven't been able to see much of any of the preseason matches.
Well, I've been to three of them. The three.
Thailand, Paderborn, and
Yeah, of course, yeah, and yeah.
and
I've been to
Porto.
the three home. I think to the three home ones. The Tranmere, the Porto, and
Oh,
the
you know, you caught a ride on the wheel well of the airplane of the team jet.
Of course,
Just
Illuminati.
yeah.
I think what has
How's
been,
that free match ticket going for you?
of course, the free match ticket over 10 installments.
Yes.
I think what has been a hindrance, obviously, you've just mentioned the World Cup there. The World Cup has been a problem because the caliber of the players, obviously, but it's also left
we had
us.
quite a few players that did really well at the World Cup.
Yeah, and it's also
in
well, we had a
advance.
few who didn't do anything, but it's also left us in a position where we've been sort of reduced to having no attackers. I mean, obviously, Kone's injured anyway, and Pinar's been dipped in and out because of of his of his fitness program. And then you look at obviously Lukaku. Once he was bought, he really only started training this week, and Morales is in the same situation. And you look at those, and if you look at the friendlies, I mean, we've played Naismith as a striker, almost in the Lukaku role, and there hasn't been anyone really able to sort of join up with him. I mean, Ross Barkley, has been in for the last couple of weeks, and he's tried, but he's been obviously. You can see that the manager's has played him more than the other players who went for England, but has also probably told them to sort of play in a way that was, tethered, kept them on a short leash. So
Right.
it's been weird in the friendlies because we've played with almost like five holding midfielders at times. So, we've played without Coleman. Baines has been played again in the same fashion. So really, attacking wise, we haven't had much of a threat in these games. But oddly enough, even though we've had so many like a holding midfielders, we've conceded lots of goals. It's been very strange, and I say that without putting too much emphasis on pre-season, but at the same time, it does have a purpose, and the purpose is to get players fit. And if players aren't fit because they're not back or they don't look fit, then it does put that little bit of a worry in your mind. Because I don't know about you, but I look at some of the players, and I looked at them against Paderborn, and I still seen some of the players who've been around for the whole summer, the likes of Gareth Barry, making very, very simple mistakes that you think, well, you've been training now for a month or so. Shouldn't these little mistakes be out your system by now? I mean, you understand that for players who've just come back, but it does strike me strange that some of the players have been here.
Stones losing the ball in very, very poor position a couple times.
Yeah, same place,
Yeah.
same ground,
Yeah.
same end result.
Yeah. But then there's this closed door match rumors that we go in and win 4-1, and Lukaku supposedly scores a couple. Maybe Morales gets on the score sheet. Both of them put in 45 minutes. Coleman is back at full training with those two as well.
Yeah.
Which is good because the less I see Tony Hibbert on the pitch for Everton, the better. And I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. Uh, Coleman is a lot better. And I mean, that's just it. Um,
Yeah. I think what is important to stress at this time of the year is
yes,
the season.
yes. What is it?
The season starts on Saturday, but it doesn't end on Saturday. That's the most important thing to stress. Players will
That's
come
going to
back.
be new to a lot of Everton fans. That's going to be new
Players come.
news that the
Yeah.
season lasts longer than just one match.
Yeah. Players come back, and obviously no one is bound to peak on Saturday from any team anywhere. That's not how it works. The players will come back. Some will be fit, some will not be fit. Some is out of our hands, like you mentioned earlier. The World Cup players, Lukaku and Morales, especially. That's not really our something we could have controlled. So they will come back now. Whether them players start or whether they start on the bench, I think what is important is that they are not rushed, and we've seen already with Roberto Martinez last season is he doesn't play players when they're unfit. So he'll play what he needs to play. He'll structure those players because you can't forget that some players will have had a month of pre-season, yet fans will be asking for players who are back in the first week of pre-season to go straight in.
Right.
Now, obviously, those players have had a couple of weeks off from playing in a major tournament, so they shouldn't need as much pre-season as some other players because they generally should be fit. We've seen Lukaku training with Anderlecht for a few days as well during the summer as well to keep himself ticking over. So he should be relatively fit. So it's not like the old days where players go away, come back a couple of stone overweight. But let's not ask for miracles here. It might be a case of, when those players go to the first game of the season, they play off the bench as impact players, and the structure of the starting team will be to fit in the best 11 possible with players that are 100% fit. Let's not forget the season kicks off on Saturday, but as we're stressing, it's a long season, and you've got to get the best out of all your players. You can't just say you're going to be fit no matter what for that Leicester game, and that's the only way you can look at it. And we do have a bigger squad now.
We do, but there are players like Traore and Deulofeu that are gone, and have we really replaced them?
Well, I think you must be saying Traore with your tongue firmly in your cheek because he really did only play about
5 minutes.
An hour of football in two games, so I don't think that's too much to worry about. Deulofeu, yeah, but that's an interesting one because obviously Deulofeu is gone now. Who knows? He could still come back. He still hasn't got a squad number at Barcelona, and there's chatter out there that it could possibly still happen. I'll wait and see on that one. I don't know about the squad number. There's rumours about the squad number that he's waiting for Song to leave because he wants the number 17. Yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. I mean, that's just one theory out there. Replacing him will, obviously the talk is Atsu. I mean, by the time this podcast gets out, Atsu might have been secured. It is basically down to the lad getting his work permit finalised and a couple of other little details, but that looks like that's done. So from that point of view, that looks like that's Deulofeu replaced. But that leaves an interesting one because you've just mentioned there replacing players. I mean, obviously Lukaku, Barry have been secured. Atsu come in to replace Deulofeu. There's Besic has come in and he's a new player. But past that, you look at the squad and you do think to yourself, well, else is there available that wasn't available last season? Well, okay, Darren Gibson is one that really we didn't see anything of last season.
Right.
Kone, whenever he decides that he's 100% fully fit, he'll be another one. There's the young players. Obviously, we'll see more of Ledson, possibly this season. Luke Garbett, we'll see. Probably will see a lot more of him sort of on the bench and around that kind of thing. And then I'm sure there's a few other younger players who are knocking about and knocking on the door. There's also obviously Brian Oviedo to come back, which you missed for the whole of the second half of the season. So from that point of view, I think there are a couple of other players, but we're still clearly missing another striker. We're clearly missing maybe another winger. There's rumours out there of players. Obviously, there's nothing concrete at the moment, but Roberto Martinez has said that he wants to look at players a little bit closer to the transfer window. So we could be into an exciting end of transfer window, like we did last season. And although this season, I think what the main thing is we're not looking for those key players. We're looking for more squad fillers this time, a few more key squad fillers, whereas last season we were looking for first team players on the last day.
Yeah, definitely. I hear what you're saying. We've got a lot more matches this year, potentially, definitely at least 6 more matches added to our schedule than last year, depending on how we do in the various cups, how far we advance in Europa League, and there's going to be a lot of time on the pitch to fill and to spread around. So depth is very important. Hopefully we can get a couple more bodies in before the end of August.
Yeah, and as you're mentioning there, the Europa League doesn't start till after that window shuts for us as well. So that we're fortunate in that way as well. Yes, there are three Premier League games between now and when the window shuts. Sorry, I think it's 4. Sorry, is it 3? Is it 3? Is it 4? So no, I think it's 3, isn't it?
3, yeah.
Yeah. So, and obviously those 3 games are just important as any other game in the season, especially the 2 home games, of which are going to be really big games. Arsenal and Chelsea. So we will have a lot of games this season. So it is about you don't need all your squad for the first game of the season. You don't need all your squad for the second or third game. You just need enough players to get through those, and hopefully the extra time that we'll need for those other players. Hopefully, by the time that window is shut and that international break comes up as well, that we can get more players in. Those other players will be near and coming back. So it's important for these 3 games that we do have the major players anyway, and that's certainly what we seems like we've got at the moment. Because all you ever see, and all people seem to talk about this year at this time of year, is what's your best 11? What's your best 11? And what happens is you get to certain times of the year where you're looking past your best 11, because how many times have we said in the past, oh, we need X, Y, and Z because this player's out injured and that player's back injured, and that's what Roberto Martinez's job is to do, is secure players in time for when those busy periods are, or have players back for when those busy periods are. So
yeah, well, the League Cup starts early September for us.
Well, no, it's a bit later, isn't it? Because we don't have to play that first round game either, do we? So
right.
That normally, so we skip
it's
a
later.
round.
Yeah, it's later than usual, but yeah, it's right there after the first couple of ties in Europa League. So
yeah, I mean that's going to be busy. January, that's going to be busy. September's going to be busy, and once we get into September, then it is going to be full on. You're going to have the 6 Europa games, and then when you get into December's busy anyway. With the Christmas period, and then January the FA Cup starts, and if you're still in the League Cup, so yes, it is going to be a lot busier this season. But that's what we're
knockout stages of Europa League fires up in February, and yeah. There's a lot of stuff going on, and
of course. But hopefully this month isn't the busy time, and that's what we're trying to stress. If we can get a team out for Leicester, that is a team that can go and beat them. If we can and then you've got that extra week, you've got an extra game where players have got themselves fit, and then you hope that players have got that 90 minutes, that's 60 minutes under the belt for that next game and then next game, and that's all you can do at this time of year. You just hope that all your players are going to be fit and or getting fit, and that, as I say, you read so much into preseason friendlies that sometimes you forget that they are just friendlies, and it's fantastic when you can go abroad and you go to America and you're playing tournaments and you're getting good results against big teams. But we've had pre-seasons in the past where we've had terrible results, poor results. I remember one year when we went over to Turkey and got beat 5-0 a couple of a week before the season. I mean, let's not forget last season. When we were in America, we got beat a couple of games and won one game on penalties. It's not like we went
Yeah, but I
over
was
there
there, man.
You don't know, man. I was there.
Well, it was. I thought we played really well up until the point that they changed the rules on the tournament. But even against Real Madrid, we looked good. So I'm
yeah, but it's different. It's different perceptions, isn't it? We were in America. We were playing teams like Real Madrid and Juventus and Valencia, and you get this perception of even though we got beat, we were in a different country and we're playing in really harsh conditions. But for all we know, Roberto Martinez might have hated that. He might have hated the fact that the players were playing in hot conditions against teams that were really testing us, and our players were getting carried away with the fact that there was 50,000 in attendance, and it was because that's what can happen. You look at last week. The final of that tournament, Manchester United played Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's be honest, when Manchester United play Liverpool, it's never a friendly. You can't really control the situation. The players are going to go out there and want to give everything. Whereas our friendlies have been low key, and we've lost a couple and we've drawn a couple, but maybe Roberto Martinez is thinking to himself, but the low key, so the players are only going to play at a certain level anyway, and that's the level he wants them to play. And they're in conditions very much of English conditions, so they're playing at a kind of temperatures they're going to play for the rest of the season anyway, or they're not exerting themselves the way, because you've got to, he'll want the levels he'll want those levels at a certain way. He's not going to want everyone to go out there and play 100%, because if you played 100% at this time of year, that's probably going to incur injuries. That's going to get, if players are not 100% fit, but they're, look at Seamus Coleman. His injury probably become because it was the first pre-season friendly. He's running down the wing, giving 100%.
Mm-hmm.
He feels the back of his leg, he pulls something, and instantly you've got a player who's missing for a couple of weeks and is struggling for the beginning of the season. And that's probably exactly what Roberto Martinez didn't want. So yes, he would have ideally wanted these friendlies to have been a little bit better. The results have been a little bit better, to have maybe looked a little bit pretty on the eye. But he'll probably be thinking to himself, come Saturday first game, if I've got everyone fit and I've got everyone raring to go, that's what I want, rather than winning 3 or 4 games in pre-season and having 2 or 3 injuries to the start of the season. That's the way he'll probably be thinking of it.
Sure. And maybe the tournament last year in the U.S., having to put that effort to show your class and ability against some of these world-class teams with billion-dollar payrolls. Maybe it took a little bit out of Everton in the first few matches, and there's those matches that now looking back should have won but ended up as draws.
Yeah, of course, that all comes into it. I mean, as I say, we don't know. We don't know
idea.
100% what he wants from them players. He seems pretty positive. As I say, the last game against Paderborn, he looked a little bit disappointed in probably some of the performance. He probably thinks that some players should be up to a higher level maybe at this time of year. But, as we've mentioned, the back four's been all over the place. For some games, we've had, Hibbert, Alcaraz, Inward Stones, Hibbert playing left back.
Yeah, what is that even about?
Exactly. You've got Robles in goal, then you've got Howard in goal when when he doesn't seem sharp and fit, and then you've got
Yeah.
you've got total mix match of players playing 45 minutes, then going off, then being replaced, playing against teams at different stages of their preseason, and it doesn't always look great, but what the most important thing is that come Saturday against Leicester, we're bang at it, and we're 100%, because it's interesting because Leicester have had a completely different preseason to us. They have played relatively lesser teams division wise. Okay, they played us, and I think they played Werder Bremen, and they've won, I think, 7 out of 8. So what they've probably done is gone, right, well, we're going to start off with really low opposition, beat them, and then play another team with low opposition, beat them, and get everybody 100% fit, and get winning games under our belt, and get that winning mentality when we go into the season. And that's probably the way they looked at it, because they've probably thought, well, if you scratch the surface of our squad, we need to be like 100% fit as long as we can, because when we get them injuries, if we need players to come back as fast as possible, and that's a different way of looking at things. Whereas Roberto Martinez is aiming for a little bit higher than Leicester, and probably thinks, right, we're going to do things a little bit better, a little bit more scientific for the rest of the season.
Yeah. Just touch on a little bit of news since the last time we were all with you. John Stones signs a new extension. I heard that it puts him through 2019, something like that.
5 years, 2019.
Yeah, that's
scary. It's scary. Just when you say 2019, it just scares me.
It's like 2020.
It's like Back to the Future times. Next year's Back to the Future times, which is even scarier. But I want me hoverboard badly.
Yeah. Power laces are coming.
Cool.
Yep. So that's good.
But
I'm still looking for that book.
Yeah. But you're hip.
I'm not hip. I'm not too hip.
No, you're definitely square though.
I am very square. I'm so square. I'm round.
2019, and it's fantastic, isn't it? He's another one. Him, Ross Barkley, obviously. Seamus Coleman. After Baines has signed this contract, Roberto Martinez signing a contract. I'm sure it won't be long till James McCarthy is signed as well, and that's just when you think about that core of players now, obviously Lukaku being a new signing, James McCarthy, we get him signed. Besic is only like 21, 22. You've got Coleman, you've got Stones, you've got that's
McGeady, McCarthy,
the young Tim Howard. There's a real nice core of young players now who hopefully will be the future of this club for the next 5 or 6 years. That's the way you got to look at it, and there's a few more youngsters underneath them as well, and
the McElhenney's, the Ledsons, the Garbutt's,
But then there's the likes of the Brendan Galloway's come in as well from MK Dons. He's come in. That's a signed deal. That's a young player, and
maybe Hennon. Apparently, maybe
maybe Hennon. I mean, Hennon is.
You want to touch on that real quick, just a little bit?
Well, I don't really know what's happening 100%. I mean, he's a young player who seems desperate to come and sign for us. We want to get him signed.
What's your know insiders telling you?
From all I know, is that it's a financial matter, and it's not. It's
between the club and his previous club. Between the club and the player?
No, it's not. I think the player is all ready to come. It's not, he's been training with us for a couple of weeks, so that shows where it is with the clubs.
Right.
I think it might be something to do with the agent. Simple as that. And
tell him to fire his agent and sign me as his agent, and I will take a lot less money.
I think that's what might be holding it up. And as I say, he's been training with us. He's desperate to sign. He wants to sign. But, he's basically said, it needs to be done this week. Otherwise, he's going to have to maybe go back because it can't be.
Got to play somewhere.
Yeah, it's going to be drawn out too long. I think Everton are playing hardball with it a little bit. I think Everton will let it run down to the final hour, and then do what needs to be done to push it over the line, because I think everyone wants it done. It's just a case of getting it sorted. It's probably similar to what seems to be more happening with the Besic deal as well. So hopefully that'll be another young player to come in the mould that Roberto Martinez wants it done. And Roberto Martinez seems to be getting a grip of everything now. He's brought in Sam Byrne, who was a striker who was released by Manchester United. He scored on his debut last week for the under-21s. You look at the under-21 setup as a whole now. Alan Stubbs is left to go to Hibs. It's Unsworth's in there at the moment doing that job. I don't know whether that is being sort of confirmed that's his job, or it's just keeping on with what's going on. Obviously, we're going to need a new director of the academy as well, with Alain moving on. Joe Royal's come in. He's he's just another. So there seems to be a reorganisation of the youth side of things as well, all to fit into what Roberto Martinez wants as well. So, because I do get the feeling that if there was anyone that had left that he really didn't want to leave, he may have put up more of a fight. Okay, you can't stop people from going on to
a management of a Premiership club, with no experience prior.
But maybe he would have tried to got someone else in place before they left. But I think everything's going to the way he would have wanted it to go. So he's bringing in young players. He's changing how the academy works. He's changing the people. He's going to put his ethos on that. He'll probably get all the younger teams playing in the same way, so that when they come up to the first team, they know exactly how things work. He's bringing in players that fit in with that mold. I think the U21 squad, the development team will be very much a development team. It will be a team that players will dip in and out of. You might see maybe a few more of those players on the fringe of the first team get dipped more in and out of, ready for the first team and what it holds, and that can only be a good thing, because we've seen previously where never the two should mix. Players were playing for the under-21s and not coming into the first team, and players in the first team were not dipping into the under-21s. So hopefully
and I think with Martinez's talk of a B team possibly getting into the league and doing away with the under-21s, I think he will be able to manage it and remove any stigma of having to go down and play with the 21s and realize that it's another opportunity to stay match fit, the way that the reserves used to be, and the way that the U21s has been moved away from over the past few years. Hopefully he can bring that back into play and really allow players to get game time, and hopefully those matches are more competitive.
Yeah, and I think that the whole system's gearing towards that, though, because they're trying to get the U21s league more competitive anyway. That seems to be happening across the board. They're playing more games now at the stadium, so whether it be Goodison or whoever you're playing against, you've got to play, I think, 3 times at those grounds. So that's becoming part of it as well. It's good, as I've mentioned this so many times before, when people come in and can watch those games at a stadium, and young players get used to playing in front of crowds. And we've seen Stones playing there, we've seen Oviedo playing there last season. So hopefully those more and more players will not just sit on the first team bench and not drop down. They need to play in there for games. And but I still think that when he thinks there's a player who might be a little bit in between. So we've seen Lundstram go off to play for Blackpool, and he'll get a real education at Blackpool, because Blackpool only had 4 subs on their game at the weekend. So those players will be, if there's players like that might go out. I don't know. Chris Long, we've seen him play against Paderborn, scored a fantastic goal.
Great strike.
Now he might bounce around the first team for the next couple of weeks, and then maybe he'll make a decision that he needs to go to maybe a championship team for 6 months just to get, or even maybe a couple of months just to sort of getting used to the physical side of things. I think that's the difference. He won't just have players in the under-21s. He will use that loan system as well. I mean, I think what the ideal situation would be is maybe like Wigan taking a couple of players, and Matty Kennedy's gone to Hibs, I think, so he's gone with Stubbs. That helps as well.
Yeah.
So having those little places where they can go could be really helpful for those players as well.
Yeah, and
So
Stubbsy's going to look after him and take care of him and get him the training that Martinez is looking for. So absolutely.
yeah, of course, because that's the other side of it, isn't it? You've got to hope that they go somewhere where they're looked after and
Right.
they continue to play the style. And I think that's
Kind of like a Barkley at
yeah.
Leeds, real positive loan spells.
Maybe we can send someone loan to Barcelona.
And you can only I wouldn't want that because they might come back with teeth marks from practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So probably not. A lot of stuff's been going on over on my side of the pond here, with the World Cup and everything. Huge influx of Americans getting involved in the English Premier League, picking a team and supporting that, and the guys over at Everton USA have done a fantastic job of grasping onto the match by Tim Howard against Belgium, against the Morales and Lukaku's out there, and the all-time saves in a match, in a World Cup match, record-breaking performance by Tim there, and really setting up what looks like a bumper influx of Everton fans, or people in the U.S. that are finally realizing that they've been Everton fans all along, but they just didn't know it. So there's watch parties all across the United States, in tons and tons of cities, tons of small towns where through social media and social networking they've been able to find each other and come together on Saturday for Tim Howard Appreciation Day.
Awesome. You got there in the end.
Yeah.
So it's Tim Howard's Appreciation Day. So what we're saying is, if you're a fan out there, I mean, because if you're listening to this, you're an Everton fan. If you're a fan in America and you're like, but you're still sitting at home on a Saturday, go out and find one of the, get on Twitter, get on Facebook, and find a group.
Drive like 6 hours or whatever.
Go on Everton USA. Go to Everton USA on Twitter and Facebook and find out where your nearest place is to go and watch with other Blues. Because if you're sitting there, because I think this is one of the things that we've sort of helped with during our time in the podcast over the last 4 years, is putting people together who didn't necessarily know that people in the same city had other Everton fans there. Which
if you listen and you don't know if there's a group in your area, or if you have a pretty good idea that you're the only one in your area, you're wrong. You just need them to put it out there. Tweet us. We'll get you in touch with the people that you need to. We'll retweet it, and I would guarantee you that there's probably at least another person on Twitter that will see our tweet, or will see Everton USA's tweet, that is within the same very reasonable driving area, that you all can start pulling a group together and get these watch parties set up to where we can start really building upon and finding this group of supporters out there, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be able to watch a match with like-minded people at 6 in the morning.
Well, you enjoy. I mean, of course. I mean, if you're watching with other people in a group, the enjoyment's going to be so much more. It's football is a communal experience. It's simple as that. Why we go to grounds to watch it. It's
why there's it's songs and there's limbs.
Yeah, it's a communal experience, and that's you'll never quite fully experience football till you watch it in a stadium with like-minded people, or at least with other people in a pub, or or a watch party, wherever you can find. So, listen, even if you're aware of other people in your city, and you just thought, oh, do you know what? I can't be arsed dragging myself to go and watch Everton in a pub, driving an hour to watch it with other guys or other girls at 10 o'clock if you're on the East Coast, 9 o'clock if you're in the middle, 8 o'clock
Where
whatever,
there's mountains.
7 o'clock, wherever. But for this one game, the first game of the season, just go and do it. Just go and do it. You know, because it's like Tim Howard Appreciation Day. And then maybe next week when it's the first home game and it's a 5:30 kickoff and it's 12:30 in New York and it's half 11, and
What's half 11? Is that 11:30 or 10:30?
It's half 11. It's half 11. It's half 11.
Is
11:30. 11:30. 11:30.
30?
10:30 and 9:30. And then it'll be Evan at home, and it'll be you won't have to. You'll have met all the people, and this is where it starts on Saturday. So make sure you just get up for one game, just whether it could be your only game of the season for you, and then you think, no, actually this is fun, and then this guy might say, do you know what? I live by you, and I'm not drinking. I'll pick you up. I will give you a lift to the pub.
Yeah.
And then next week you might say, well, you know what? I'm not drinking this week because I've got things to do after the game. So I'll give you a lift to the pub. And then the next minute you're all giving lifts to each other, and you've got designated drivers, and then you become best friends, and then your kids get married to each other. It's gonna be it's all gonna happen. And it's a safe way for your kids to get married without having to marry fans of other teams, and then they'll just disappoint you.
Right.
Exactly.
Fantastic, Ped. I love it.
I just queued up your life for you.
Okay. All right, and with that, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Paddy Howland here, back again for another season with a match preview and team news ahead of our opening game of the 2014-15 season on Saturday as Everton travel to the King Power Stadium to face newly promoted Leicester City. Roberto Martinez will be hoping his side leave their indifferent pre-season form behind them, which has seen his side fail to win any of its games during the pre-season period. It remains to be seen if record signing Romelu Lukaku or fellow Belgium international Kevin Mirallas will be considered for the trip to Leicester, given that both are lacking match fitness following their extended break following their World Cup duties. If neither are included in the starting lineup, expect Stephen Naismith to lead the forward line. Seamus Coleman, who was injured in the opening pre-season friendly at Tranmere with a hamstring injury, remains out, and Tony Hibbert or Tyus Browning will be competing to replace the dynamic Irish international if he fails to make the coach for this weekend's game. At the time of recording, we are awaiting final confirmation of Christian Atsu's season-long loan signing from Chelsea. If the Ghanaian international is signed, it's unclear yet if he'll feature for this weekend's fixture. Fellow new signing Mohamed Bezic is expected to make start his Everton career from the bench. It is in midfield where Roberto Martinez will have a number of decisions to take. In a number of positions in the midfield places, he has clear selection choices to make, either Osman or Barkley, Pienaar or McGeady, Barry or Gibson. It's fantastic that Martinez finally has some choices to make, and hopefully we'll have some luck this season with injuries and we'll have these options throughout the season. On Saturday I would expect last season's midfield axis of McCarthy, Barry and Barkley to kick off the new season. Everton's other absentees are a hangover from last season, with Aruna Kone and Brian Oviedo not expected to return to first team action until the autumn. As for last season's Football League Championship winners Leicester, they'll be chomping at the bit to get their first season in the Premier League after 10 years underway. Manager Nigel Pearson has quietly gone about adding to his promotion winning squad over the summer, acquiring a number of hot prospects such as Jack Barmby and Ben Hamer for Manchester United and Charlton respectively, and breaking Leicester City's 15-year transfer record by signing striker Leonardo Uola from Brighton. Pearson also acquired veteran defender Matthew Upson to add some experience to his back line. However, the former England international is going to miss the opening months of the season after picking up a foot injury in the pre-season period. Perhaps the best signing of all for Nigel Pearson was retaining the services of goalkeeper Kasper Schmeichel, who could have left the Foxes on a Bosman transfer and was heavily linked with a move to Arsenal before committing his future to the East Midlands club. The giant Danish keeper is likely to be an emerging star this season, and Leicester are likely to rely heavily on the 27-year-old. Ahead of this weekend's games, the Foxes have a number of injuries, with Anthony Knockaert and Jamie Vardy ruled out for the next few weeks, alongside Matthew Upson. New signing Mark Albrighton is also a doubt for this weekend's game with a groin injury. Our last visit to Leicester was in March 2004 when we drew 1-1 in a game that was overshadowed by the tragic death of Evertonian Bernard Murphy in an accident outside the ground. Our thoughts are with Bernard's family this weekend. We've kicked off the season away to Leicester just once in our history. That was back in August 1985 when our then record signing Guy Lineker made an immediate return to his hometown club for his Toffees debut. Unfortunately, Howard Kendall's League champions lost 3-1 in a shocking opening day defeat. Our last win at Leicester was in December 1997 when Gary Speed scored a last minute penalty in a 1-0 victory at Filbert Street to lift the Toffees off the bottom of the league and give me a very happy 21st birthday present. Before I go, I need to advise you of some changes to my blog on the Folotonians website this season. After 3 years, the time has come to do something different, and I'll now be writing a more general blog on all things Everton called L4 for Real. This will be published midweek during the course of the season. The first edition of L4 for Real is on the Folotonians website now, so please check it out. Also, don't forget to look and review the other content published over the course of the week on the folotonians.com website. That's it for now. Here's how we can kick off a season with 3 valuable points and put our poor pre-season run behind us. Come on, you Blues.
This is Albert Bosch from Catalonia, and you're listening to the Folotonians. Same club, different accents.
This is Hank Bramblett from Missionary Ridge, Tennessee. You're listening to the Folotonians. Same club, different accents.
This is Maria Chamberlain from Galway, Ireland, and you're listening to the Folotonians, same club, different accents.
Hey, this is Mike McKenna from Boston, Massachusetts, and you're listening to Folotonians. Same club, different accents.
This is Pat O'Mahony from Dublin in Ireland, and you're listening to the Folotonians. Same club, different accents.
This is Jack Dowden from London, England, and you're listening to the Folotonians. Same club, different accents.
All right, we're back on Folotonians, brought to you by Apsiz Service Ltd.
Okay, let's get on to the Leicester game.
All right, Leicester game. Leicester.
Leicester
City.
Leicester City.
I know. The Foxes.
See, this is the thing. We say things like Leicester City, and then you look, you look at the spelling and go, no, that says Leicester.
Yeah, it's not Lester.
Yeah, I know. This is where England and English and Americans, and this is where the gap sort of falls, isn't it?
Yeah, we don't like we like to pronounce all of the letters in words.
We don't, and we invented it, so screw you, buddy.
All right, so what do you think of Leicester?
Well, as we mentioned before, I think it's pre-season's been very different for the two of us. The way they've approached and the way we've approached, and I think that is worrying for the first game of the season, because I think they're going to be well up for it. They're going to be, they've just been promoted. They seem to have all, even though they haven't sort of bought a ton of big name players. All the players they've got and all the players they've got from last season are going to be up for it. So physically, I think it's going to be quite a tough game, and that's a problem for us, because as we've been mentioning, we're sort of on the upward curve, and we've got players at different stages of fitness, and all our big game players mightn't be fit. So it could be a case that Roberto Martinez, tries to not fit in a team, but he's going to go probably with his strongest back four. I think Baines will play, Jags will play, Howard, Distan, and hopefully Seamus Coleman.
Yes.
And then it'll be interesting what he does in front of that, whether he has Pienaar probably be in there, and then you look at it and think, well, what's he going to do on the right? Is he going to try and maybe stretch it and play, say, he might start with Pina on the right and play Barkley more on the left and have McCarthy in there, Barry in there. Does he try and shoehorn Besic in there as well, and then go for someone like Naismith and just have Lukaku and Morelos maybe coming off the bench, because he's that's what he's got. We might look to go in with a solid team that doesn't lose the game as such, or doesn't keeps it tight for an hour, and then bring Lukaku into it or bring Morales into it to try and open it up.
Yeah.
That to me would be a sensible thing to do.
Sure.
Would have been the first game of the season.
Yeah, I would agree. I would think all the fans are going to be calling for Morales and Lukaku to feature, but maybe impact subs in this first match is really the way to go. As long as they get into the match, and they get and they show the impact that we know that they are going to have over the year. It's going to be it's a tough decision. It's early on, like we said, the season isn't over after just one match. We've got two really hard home fixtures coming up immediately after this one, and it's just I'm not a Premier League manager, so
no, I think
it'd
be interesting. Be interesting because a lot of people will be saying, well, does he play? This is an opportunity to play three at the back. Maybe bring Stones in alongside Jags and Distan, and have Coleman and Baines as the wing backs. Maybe that could be an option at this stage of the season, because then you could have maybe three in centre midfield of McCarthy and Barry and Besic,
right,
and have maybe Ross Barkley playing off, say, Naismith. But then you could look at the other way and go, you can have a flat back four and then play three holding midfielders across of Besic, Barry and McCarthy. Have the width with, have sort of Pienaar as a bit of width, Barkley's a bit of width, and have Naismith. I mean, as I say, there's
kind of like a 4-3-3 sort of.
Yeah, you can have
maybe,
a sort of, with obviously three real centre midfielders in there, three hard centre midfielders.
Yeah.
But then you say to yourself, well, Besic looks like he could get sent off in the first 10 minutes if he's not careful in the Premier League. So I think I could see Martinez going in with a little bit more of a conservative start and hope that the players can get him through for an hour, and then maybe bring, the extra players onto the pitch, the heavy artillery, to maybe try and win the game. The big problem is going in there and maybe dropping a goal early, and then you're fighting against the tide there. You're fighting against a crowd who'll be right behind a newly promoted team, and that's where it becomes a little bit worrying. But it's the first game of the season. Let's not forget. Last season we went to Norwich. We got a 2-2 draw. We drew the first three games. So let's not forget that it's a tough start. The first three games are all really tough. But even if it's a slow start, so be it. But as long as we get the players back fit over the course of the first month, then we go from there.
Yeah.
So I don't mind if we go to Leicester and get a draw, and it helps get players fit and available for the next couple of games. It's a tricky tie, it's a banana skin type game where
it's QPR from a couple of years ago. It's a Blackburn. It's away. That's the only difference. Yeah.
Everything's stacked against us. It's another team that have come up like last season. It's
don't know what you're going to get really.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't like these games as such. I just don't like going into a team that have just been promoted and you're playing the first game, because they've got everyone fit. They've had a decent summer. Yeah. Everyone's got high hopes. I mean, you want to be playing these teams in December where
supporters will be out.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be playing these teams in September and December when
February.
The squad's decimated with injuries, and there's a little bit of if they're not doing too well, then there's an uneasiness, and you can go and you can sort of exploit that. But first game of the season, everyone's up for it. Everyone's got high hope. You're all on the same points. Everyone's gonna, they see us as a big team coming to their ground.
Someone named Van Wolfswinkel will score against you.
Yeah, it's someone you've never heard of will score and never score again. Everything's stacked against you in the first game of the season. You sort of have to be professional about it and go in there and try and do the best you can. And I think that's why Martinez will think, well, you know what, go in there with a trusted back four, a solid midfield, maybe play one up front with one off, keep it tight for an hour, and then it might be time for Morales and Lukaku to come in and get involved and try and get the points that we need from this game.
Just looking at the season overall and the acquisitions by all of the clubs around us and above us and below us, and I really don't know the last time there were 7 or 8 clubs that could possibly be this closely matched. Yeah, there's going to be some clubs that everybody's touting Chelsea to be the team of the year early on. I don't know about that. But Man City is good, but I don't think they're world beaters. United was horrible last year. They've brought in a ton and seem to have reloaded with a new manager and I mean, Liverpool lost Suarez. They've bought a ton of players. Tottenham, new manager again, brought in some new players. I mean, 1 through 8 looks like it could be up for grabs.
It's let's be honest, it's going to be a tough season. Going upwards, it's going to be a tough season. We know that everyone is strengthened around us, and they've really have strengthened. They've really put a lot into it. The likes of Chelsea have spent big. Man City have done a little bit of tinkering. They haven't exactly gone mad, but they've bought. They've
Smart,
bought
yeah.
smart. Because they're not allowed to buy a lot of players because of the financial fair play. But they've bought smart, and it's a case of. It is a case of, again, we're fighting against the tide of teams above us, and it's annoying because it will be a struggle, to try and sort of bridge that gap going upwards. But everyone below us, I think everyone below us, we should be above them again. Man United have bought a few good players, but I don't know whether it's enough to get them into the top 4.
But is the difference between their previous manager and Van Gaal enough?
Well, they'll be fighting. Well, they will be fighting for the top 4. Let's just say that.
Right.
Now, whether they're fighting to win the league, that's a completely different thing. But again, that creates a new team to fight against for the top 4, and even Europe. I mean, that's the thing. It's not just about top 4. It's about just getting in the Europa's hard enough. Never mind the top 4. So, it will be tough. Spurs have bought a couple, but again, you would think, well, they've got a new manager. That's the big thing for them this year. Southampton have obviously lost players. Liverpool have lost Suarez. It'll be very interesting to see how they get on this season.
Yeah.
With losing their best player. They brought in a ton of players, but you don't know whether it's going to be like Spurs last season when they lose their best player. Well, they're still going to have enough. They're still going to be a very good team, but it's those games that are, are very, very tight when they need that spark of absolute genius.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to have it. It's going to be really tough. I mean, the way to look at it is Manchester City, Chelsea, and Arsenal have all bought really, really well.
Yeah.
Now, they were all above us last season anyway.
Yeah.
So it might be a case that ourselves, Liverpool, Manchester United and Spurs are all fighting for that 4th place. Now, of course, those are the teams who've got bigger spending power than us and will be a lot more favourites to get there. But we showed last season we're a good team. And this season we do have a bigger squad. It is a bigger squad. And it's how Roberto Martinez. I'm going to start calling him Roberto Martinez. That's what I should start calling him.
No.
It's how he juggles the squad this season. And I think now that he's going to have players back, I think he's going to be able to do it a lot better.
Place?
I think because of Europa and everything else, I think we might get knocked down a place this season. I'm going to say six this season.
That's where anything
I'm going
above
to say
that,
six.
I think we'll have to.
But you know what do you know what I think this season though? I think that I think a team that finishes with 72 points this season will get Champions League. Because I think the league's going to be closer altogether. I think everyone's strengthened in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't see the top four running away with it this season as much. I think you're going to see a lot more games.
There's going to be a lot more knockdown dragouts between these top seven. These top seven are going to really push each other, and it's going to be exciting. It's set up to really be fun. There's going to be a lot of really amazing matchups every week. We start out the season with quite a few of these big games: the Chelsea home, the Arsenal home, Derby away. The first 2 months of the season are just mad.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be mad, and that's what you got to remember. It's going to be non-stop this season, and that's why the whole squad has to be used, and that's why he has to manage the whole squad, and it's not just about this weekend or the weekend after. It's about the whole season. So that's where he's going to has to use the squad.
Screw it. Let's just win Europa League and get Champions League spot.
That's the way. I just want a really good run. I want a good run in the cup. I would love to win any cup. The League Cup would be fantastic. I'd happily have the League Cup this season. That would nothing would make me more happy if we won the League Cup this season. So let's go from there. So we both think sixth. I think anything around sixth would be fantastic. Hopefully,
I think anything above six would be fantastic. If it's below six, I'm going to be a little disappointed. Because that means that either United or Spurs got above us, or both of them, and someone that was above us dropped below us.
Yeah, if Manchester United finish above us with the money they've spent this year, I can fully understand
fair play to that.
I can fully understand that. But you know what? If anyone
fair play.
Yeah, if anyone below sixth from last season, or sorry, seventh, finishes above us, then I'll be very, very disappointed.
Right, yeah. If the Southamptons, the Stokes, the Newcastles, if a squad like that jumps above us in the table this coming season, then I've got some issues.
Yeah, I'll be very disappointed if that happens. You've still got to be a realist. We've bought players that we had last season. It's not like we've brought a lot of new players. So at this moment, because obviously things can change, I still think there'll be players coming in before the end of the window. He's already said that he wants to look at that when closer to the window. So so hopefully things will be done. But as it stands right now, with the extra cup competition, of the Europa League, I'm gonna say sixth. I'd be happy with sixth and a trophy.
Well, let's talk about Europa League just real quick before we wrap up. We get out of the group. It's hard to say. We don't even know who's in the group. But do you think we have the squad to make it to a knockout round of Europa League?
I think we do. I think we easily have the group, a squad, and I think once we get back, once the squad, we start seeing more and more of the squad. Once the Kones are fit, and once Oviedo's fit, and there's more players challenging around the squad, and you're seeing a stronger matchday bench and all that kind of thing. I think you will look and go, actually, we've got quite a good squad here. So I think once that happens, and once we get into January, I keep on saying January, once we get into September, when things really start moving, I think you'll see that actually we do have a squad, and obviously that's going to be needed massively for this for all these different kind of competitions.
New kit. We haven't mentioned the new kit. It's white and blackberry.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I think it looks smart. I like finally having a different color than we've seen in quite a while. I hate purple, but I do like the color.
I like the
The accent.
I like the white. I love the white, and I also love the I love the collar. I love the collar. The collar is very 80s, early 90s. I love that. So really happy with it. No, not everyone said they liked it, but I think it's really nice, really clean shirt. So, and they'll be wearing it at Leicester on Saturday as well. So that'll be interesting to see.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Apsiz Services Ltd for sponsoring us this year. It's much appreciated. Hopefully we do you proud over the season. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Come on, you Blues. Let's go.